There is a quiet within you that has never been disturbed. There's this knowing before thought, a presence before identity, and a truth that does not require belief to exist. So this is the I am. So not I am this or I am that, not a name, not a story, not even a role you've come to play in this life. Just I am. Pure awareness, before content, before form. So when we speak of navigating the world from a spiritual stance, we're not talking about escaping the world here. We're not talking about avoiding responsibility or becoming passive. We're not speaking of floating above ordinary events of life in some disconnected bliss. None of those. We're speaking about remaining absolutely here, fully engaged, while rooted in the depth of being. We're talking about moving through the world from the center of the self, not the ego, not the conditioned mind, but the unchanging presence that witnesses all of it. So this message is not for the monk on the mountaintop alone. It is not just for the renunciate or the mystic in retreat. It is for the mother raising children. It's for the business owner trying to be ethical in a chaotic world. It's for the artist, the teacher, the builder, the worker. It's for you, here and now. Because whether you realize it or not, you are that. You are the I am. You are not what the world told you to be. You are not even who you think you are. You are awareness itself. You are beyond all thought and concept. So the question becomes not who are you in this world, but how do you live once you begin to know the truth of who you are? How do you navigate a world full of noise, confusion, desires, suffering, and beauty from the stance of silence? This is what we are going to explore today. How do we operate from the I am, not just in theory, in life? First, you have to understand that awakening is, or we could say awakening, it's really more of a realization, a coming to understanding of what we are. It's not an end to action. It's an end to illusion. Life continues, but it no longer is driven by the same forces. You still play your roles, but the actor knows he is not the role. You still experience thoughts, but you no longer confuse yourself with those thoughts and those processes within the mind. And you still feel emotion, but there is space around it. And you still speak, but now something deeper speaks through you. So what changes is not the outer circumstances, but the place from which you are living, which you are abiding within. So the I am is a doorway to truth. It is the original sense of being before you learned your name, before language, before success or failure, before trauma or memory. There simply was I am. And this isn't a belief. It's your most direct experience right now, without thinking, without naming. Don't you know you exist? Right? This existence, this being is the I am. And when you rest in that sense of I amness without trying to define it, you begin to touch the formless dimension of yourself. And from there, everything changes. So you no longer live as a person trying to find peace. You realize that you are peace, and the person was simply moving through your awareness. You no longer seek worth in the eyes of the world. You feel the unshakable worth of simply being, of existing. You stop outsourcing your identity to social definitions because you have come home to the center. And from this space, you're not passive, you're not indifferent, but you are free. You become inwardly undisturbed even as the world moves around you, even as there is chaos. And now you begin to live not reactively, but consciously, intentionally, from a space of silence. So, how does this I am, this pure presence, move in the world? How does it run a business? How does it parent? How does it speak truth? How does it engage with injustice and conflict and with everyday choices? So here's the paradox. From the I am, you may still do many of the same things. You still work, still plan, still speak, but now the inner driver is different. There's no compulsion to prove yourself. There's no need to dominate or defend. There's no inner narrative running about success or failure, right? You act, but you are not acting out. You respond rather than react. You speak not to be right, but to be real, authentic. Not from the space of a conditioned self, not from the mind, not from memory, not from experience, from the authenticity of the I am. So you help, not to be seen, but because helping arises naturally from presence. So from the I am, life becomes simple. Not always easy, but deeply clear. There is a profound sense of clarity. And when the ego drives your action, there's a residue, a stickiness, this kind of tension. But when being drives your action, there is alignment. There's peace in motion. So the I am does not operate from fear. It does not strategize to protect an identity. It moves from truth, and it allows the results to unfold organically. And that's the beauty of living this way. You become deeply effective and deeply unattached. You can put your whole heart into something and remain free from the outcome. Now let's go deeper here, though. So you have roles in this life, and that is natural. You may be a father, a wife, a doctor, a student, a friend. So these are functional labels. But the problem arises when we identify with the role. When the role becomes who we think we are, at some point we are going to suffer. Because roles change, they dissolve. Children grow, jobs end, relationships shift. Age comes, life moves. It's all transient. And if your identity is tied to the role, you will fear its loss on some level. But if your identity is rooted in the I am, you can play the role beautifully and let it go when it's time. It's like an actor who plays Hamlet and then walks off the stage knowing he is not the character, right? This creates an inner spaciousness. You can be fully loving and yet not entangled at all. You can be fully engaged and inwardly at rest. You can give your energy to a task and still know you are not the task. This is the way of the I am. It honors life, but it doesn't get lost in it. It remains within itself. So many people believe that spirituality means withdrawing from the world on some level, or stating that the world doesn't exist. But true spirituality is not separation, it's integration. Stillness is not inaction. It's inner non-disturbance. And from that stillness, action can arise, precise, compassionate, and powerful. So stillness is the fertile soil, and action is the flower. When you live from the I am, you are not less active. You are more aligned in your activity. Your actions no longer leak energy through overthinking or this egoic striving. Right? There's a natural intelligence that begins to move through you. You say what is needed. You move when it's time. You pause when silence is best. And this is not laziness. This is not vagueness. It's clarity. And from this clarity, life becomes purposeful. Not because you force purpose, but because you feel the deeper current guiding you. But let's get practical here. What about when things go wrong? When someone lies to you, or you lose a job, or you're overwhelmed by fear. So, does the I am make you immune to pain? It doesn't, but it changes your relationship to it. From presence, you feel pain, but it doesn't define you. You can grieve, but you don't drown. You can be angry, but you're not consumed. You can be confused, but you remain rooted in the silent witness of I am. So this is a profound strength. Not the strength to dominate, but the strength to remain awake in the middle of our human difficulties. So from this place, even challenge becomes a teacher. Even suffering can reveal the illusion we are clinging to. And gradually, the sharp edges of life become smoother. Not because the world changes, but because you are no longer resisting it. You meet life as it is, and you respond with truth. But what about relationships? So most people engage in relationships from ego, seeking approval, security, validation, or control. It's unconscious. It's not evil. It's just habitual. We look for something outside to make us feel whole inside. But when you begin to live from that I am, the whole dynamic changes. You're no longer needing the other person to complete you. You're not using them to fill a hole in your identity. You're not trying to get love. You are love. You are not looking for peace because, you guessed it, you are peace. And when two people meet from this place, not from lack, but from fullness, the relationship becomes a space of clarity and sacredness. So does this mean that relationships become perfect? No, not at all. They remain human, right? There will be misunderstandings, emotions, and triggers, but the difference is you are not lost in them. You begin to see clearly what belongs to you and what doesn't. You become less reactive, less defensive, more open. You listen more actively. You take nothing personally. You stop trying to fix people or be fixed. You allow the other to be exactly who they are because your identity is no longer built upon their behavior. And this is freedom in relationship. You can love deeply and not possess. You can speak truth and not control the outcome. You can stay or go with clarity, not out of fear, not out of obligation, but from knowing what is true. So relationships from the I am are not attachments. They are mirrors. They are spaces where presence meets presence, where the divine in you recognizes the divine in the other, even if their personality is caught in illusion. And when conflict arises, you meet it differently. You have to. Instead of trying to win, you seek understanding. Instead of proving your point, you rest in truth. Instead of arguing to be right, you remain rooted in being and let right action arise from there. But what about work, money, responsibilities, right? So living from the I am doesn't mean you drop all worldly pursuits and sit under a tree. You might, but you don't have to. It doesn't mean you deny the needs of the body or the needs of your family or the structures of society, but it does mean you relate to all of these things from a new place. You see a theme here, right? When the ego runs your life, work becomes a means to prove your worth, and money becomes a measurement of your value, and responsibility becomes a burden or a badge. Hi there. Thank you so much. But when you're rooted in the I am, something shifts here. I just had a package show up. Been waiting for this. Okay, so money becomes a tool and not an identity. And responsibility becomes an opportunity to serve, not from duty, but from love. You can still run a business, teach a class, make sales calls, wash the dishes, raise children, but you are not trapped by these roles. You're not seeking yourself in them. Instead, you bring yourself to them. Your work then becomes a field of presence, a space where consciousness moves into form. Whether you're building houses or writing code or serving customers or planting gardens, you are expressing the I am in motion. And money? You respect it. You use it wisely. You allow it to flow, but you are no longer defined by it. You're no longer anxious about status. You're no longer chasing security through accumulation. And you understand that true abundance is not in the bank. It's in your being. And when you meet life like this, ironically, more abundance comes because you're not resisting, you're not chasing, you're allowing life to move freely through you. What about the body? So this I am is not the body, but the body is the vehicle through which the I am expresses itself in this dimension. So how do we relate to the body from this stance? You care for it. Not because you're afraid of death, but because it's sacred. You listen to it. You honor its inborn intelligence. You move it, you feed it, rest it. Not from obsession, not from self-image, but from reverence. You understand that the body has sensations, energies, karmic patterns, right? Samskaras, energetic imprints, and you meet all of these with compassion. So when pain arises, you don't collapse into it, you witness it, and you hold it in presence. When pleasure comes, you don't cling to it, you enjoy it, and let it go. The body becomes a living temple, not an identity. Even illness or aging, when they arise, do not disturb the core of who you are, because you know this form is not forever, but you are timeless presence. So, spiritual practice, right? There's another thing. So many begin their path with meditation, mantra, breath work, prayer, all incredibly beautiful tools, but sometimes the ego takes hold of these and turns them into achievements, identities, or escapes, right? So living from the I am doesn't mean you discard practice. It means your relationship to practice changes. You're not meditating to become awakened. You're meditating to rest in what is already true. You're not chanting to get somewhere. You're chanting to dissolve the illusion of somewhere. You're not seeking God as something apart. You are communing with the presence that is you. So this turns every practice into a celebration, not a struggle, right? You're not climbing a ladder, you're dropping the baggage. You're not fixing the self, you're discovering the self. And eventually, even spiritual practice becomes spontaneous because your whole life becomes a meditation, a prayer, a surrender. Let's take a minute and remember something really vital here. This world is transient. Everything you see, everything you touch, everyone you know, it passes. All things must pass. It's not a cause for sorrow. It's a call to presence. When you live from ego, you either try to hold on to things or you run from them in fear. But from the I am, you see clearly. Everything is passing, and yet everything is deeply sacred, profoundly sacred. You begin to live with reverence because you know Nothing is permanent. You no longer need to cling to moments, people, or accomplishments. You honor them and let them go. And it doesn't make you cold. It makes you alert, awake. You're no longer chasing the next thing. You're no longer regretting the last thing. You're here with what is, fully. And this simple presence begins to shine through your eyes and your voice and your touch, and you carry peace without even trying. You transmit stillness without words. It's because you're rooted in that which does not pass, which is always present. And this brings us to an important realization. The world is not separate from the self. You are not a soul trapped in a hostile world. You are consciousness appearing as form. The trees, the sky, the people, the situations, they're not the other. They are all expressions of the same I am. When you truly live from this knowing, you no longer divide the world into spiritual and mundane. You see God in the dishwater, in traffic, in spreadsheets, in laughter, in heartbreak. You walk through the world as the presence behind the world. And in this seeing, compassion arises not as an idea, but as a living force. You no longer judge others from a place of superiority. You just see their pain as your pain, their joy as your joy, their illusion as something you too once believed. And that doesn't make you passive. It makes you powerful with love. You become a living presence in the world. You bring clarity where there is confusion, a peace where there's noise, and stillness where there's this agitation. Not because you're trying, but because you are. One of the most misunderstood aspects of spiritual life is this surrender. When people hear the word surrender, they often think of giving up, like a passivity. They think it means you stop making an effort, stop caring, or stop taking responsibility for your life. But surrender from the stance of the I am is something entirely different. Surrender is the recognition that this world, this universe, life itself, is unfolding according to a deeper intelligence than your ego can comprehend. Surrender is not about recognizing that your power, it's not about giving up your power. It's recognizing that your power is not what the ego told you it was. This true type of surrender is a recognition that there's a force at work in your life. You can call it God, life, the universe, or flow, or existence, whatever you want. And it's far greater than any individual will. And this doesn't mean you become passive in life, but rather you begin to act in harmony with life. You begin to listen more, to align yourself with the flow of what is happening, rather than trying to force things into your limited vision of how they should be. And from the I am, surrender is not an act of weakness, it's an act of trust. You trust that life is unfolding exactly as it needs to, and you stop trying to control every aspect of it. You stop trying to manipulate the world to match your desires, and you begin to meet life with acceptance, even when things don't go as planned. And this doesn't mean you stop making choices or taking action. It means you stop attaching yourself to the outcome. You make your decisions, but you no longer fight against what comes. If things go well, celebrate with gratitude. If they don't, you meet the moment with grace, knowing that it too is part of this unfolding. So surrender is not passive, right? It's not some kind of passive resignation. It's an active participation in life from a place of deep trust in the unfolding of things. And when you live from the I am, surrender becomes a natural expression of your understanding that you are not the doer, that life is actually happening through you. And what about the mind? Thoughts. So living from the I am doesn't mean you stop thinking. The mind is still a tool that serves you, and thoughts come and go and emotions arise within the body. But when you are grounded in the I am, you no longer identify with them, right? You begin to realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the witness of your thoughts. You are the awareness in which thoughts arise and dissolve. And this is one of the most powerful shifts you can experience. It's the realization that you are not a prisoner of your mind. You are not your thoughts, your emotions, your desires, your fears. You are the witness of all of these things. Then the mind will continue to create stories and beliefs, but from the I am, you can observe these thoughts without becoming them. It's like watching a play. So the mind isn't the enemy, it's a tool. It's a part of the play of life. But you no longer live as a prisoner of the mind. You are free. And this shift happens when you stop identifying with the stream of thought and start observing it. So thoughts will come and go, but you are the stillness in which they appear. You can choose to engage with them, or you can let them pass. You can listen to them, but you are no longer controlled by them. You are the witness of them. You are the I am. And when you live from this I am, you start to realize that the thoughts you have are just passing clouds in the sky of your awareness. They come, they go, and you remain untouched. You are not the thinker. You are the awareness that is aware of the thinking. So let's explore the power of presence and action here. So living from the I am means that everything you do is an expression of the present moment. When you move from presence, your actions are not driven by past conditioning, and they're not motivated by fear or desire, but arise naturally from your being. And these actions are more powerful, more effective, and more aligned with truth than anything driven by these egoic motives. So when you're present, you are fully here without distraction, without judgment. You're not trying to change the moment, but you are fully participating in it. And this is where the magic of life happens, because from this place you act, but your actions are not clouded by inner conflict or mental noise. You respond to life as it is, not as you wish it would be. Think that over, right? The power of presence is not something you need to work at or force. It's this natural state of being. And when you stop trying to control everything, when you surrender to the flow of life, you begin to move in harmony with this cosmos, with existence itself. Your thoughts are no longer impeding existence, wanting and wishing for it to go specific ways. You are in the flow of existence itself. Every moment becomes an opportunity to express this I am, whether you are having a conversation, making a decision, taking a walk, or simply sitting in silence. You are the presence in the moment. And this presence is far more powerful than any action taken from a place of fear or control. We can see that compassion is another essential aspect of living from the I am in this, right? So when you realize that you are the witness, the observer, you also begin to realize that the same witness is present in all beings. Everything is this sense of I am. It's the screen upon which existence is cast, right? So the same essence of life that you are is also present in everyone else. There's no separation between you and another. There's no division. There's only one being expressing itself in infinite forms. So this understanding naturally gives rise to compassion. It has to. Compassion is not pity, and it's not an emotional reaction. Compassion is the deep understanding that all beings are expressions of the same source. Compassion arises from the knowing that all beings are, in their essence, the same. And just as you wish to be free from suffering, so does every other being. So this compassion arises naturally from this awareness. It's not something you have to try to do. It's just simply the expression of your true nature. And when you live from the I am, you do not need to go out of your way to be kind or loving. You're just kind and loving. You become a channel for compassion to flow through you. How could it be otherwise? This compassion is not limited to human beings, it extends to all life. You begin to see the interconnectedness of everything, the plants, the animals, the earth, the sky, the galaxy, the cosmos. Everything is a manifestation of the same divine presence. And as you move through the world, you do so with respect, care, and reverence for all forms of life. So this is this ultimate freedom is the freedom from the self or the ego. You recognize it for what it is. And when you live from the I am, you realize that your true nature is not limited by the body, the mind, or the roles that you play. You're not the person you think you are. You're not your thoughts, your emotions, or your experiences. You are the awareness in which all of these arise spontaneously. This is freedom from attachment. This is the freedom from fears, the freedom from the endless cycle of craving and aversion. And when you live from the I am, you no longer need to chase after anything, nor do you need to hold on to anything. You just simply are. This is freedom that transcends the world of duality. It's not a freedom from the world, but freedom in the world. You are not running away from life. You're fully engaged in it, but you are no longer attached to it. You're no longer trapped in the endless cycle of desire and suffering. You're free to live from the truth of who you are, from this authentic expression. And in that freedom, you're able to live with this great love, great compassion, and great peace. You are able to move through it with clarity, with ease, knowing that you are not the doer, but that life is happening through you. And we navigate from the I am. We move through life with presence, with compassion and surrender, and we honor the world, but we don't cling to it. We play our roles, but we don't identify with them. We act in the world, but we don't get lost in it. So living from the I am is not about escaping the world. It's about fully engaging with it from a place of profound stillness. Right? It's about being present with whatever arises, without fear, without attachment. It's about living as the truth of who you are, conscious, awake, and free. And so you walk through the world not as someone trying to change it, but as someone who sees it as it is. And in that seeing, you bring presence, love, and peace to all things. You are the I am. And from this place, you are free.